I like just sort of put on the mask of like, I'm going to be chaotic Jordan and I'm going to like day drink and write about like all of these crazy things and I'll just be her. I was saying what I was feeling, but I wasn't actually like doing anything positive to change.
With Last Girls at the Party, I found that to be kind of interesting, both listening to it, but then just reading the lyrics, like just kind of reading it on its own, because one of the things that I found myself thinking was, am I supposed to be cheering for this? Like, this is awesome? Or am I supposed to
No.
be like, right. But the thing that's very tough though is sometimes it's very difficult to know when you are feeling bored, not you, but any person, bored or depressed or anxious, and you go do something, and you go do something that's fun, or that's a bigger, it's kind of bringing you outside yourself. Sometimes it's tough to know, okay, when is this good and when is this just maybe going too far?
Oh, this is like literally what I've been trying to figure out for the past 6 months. I think like for the longest time, I really like didn't want to even think about mental health because I was always of the mind like, well, I'm like a bad girl. And like the bad girl is like what my fans know me for, what my friends know me for. I do like crazy destructive things sometimes, especially to myself. Like I used to date lots of people that were mean to me or stay up all night partying, and it got to the point where I was like, am I doing this because it's fun and it's making me feel like a human being and I'm just doing this every once in a while, or am I seeking out these kind of chaotic experiences just as things to write about and to like include in my songwriting catalog? And it got to the point where I was like really starting to lose myself in these like pursuits, and it took like my partner and my bandmates and my manager to be like, no, like you can have balance in your life. You can like wake up and go to the gym and do therapy and like be introspective about yourself, and you can still have like a little bit of chaos every once in a while, or and you can still write about feeling too chaotic sometimes while you're also trying to better yourself. Like there doesn't have to be an either or in this. And again, this is something specifically that I've gone through as like as a musician, as an artist, but I think it's like the idea that people don't think they deserve to work on their mental health, I think is something that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, I find something that's very difficult is that when you're feeling chaotic, I should say, when I'm feeling chaotic inside, I think acting quote unquote normal or healthy in some ways can it can make things worse at times, or can feel worse at times, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a nice sentiment, but it isn't necessarily a reflection of where I'm at. I'm almost feeling like there's a kind of, not a false self. It's not really that's too strong of a term, but it's not really where I'm at. And so I'm kind of curious for you,
Yeah.
like how do you translate that? Like what is that chaotic feeling for you? That might be a better question. And how does it get like kind of managed in those quote unquote healthier situations, as opposed to chaos matching chaos, and at least there's almost like a validating quality to it.
That's the whole thing, especially when I really struggled with writing this last record, because I was uh, dealing with a lot of those thoughts. I was really playing into um, like the chaotic version of myself that I'm often like using that side of myself to write a lot of my songs. Like if you listen to Shower Beer, um, Last Girls at the Party, Blame Brett, it's a lot of like me telling on myself regarding my mental health, and I drip the lyrics in lots of humor because I find it very difficult to be vulnerable. Like this is a very new thing that I'm even speaking so candidly right now, um, without lots of jokes. Um, but I felt like I was, you know, using that person and that identity as a bit of a clutch. And like, instead of like being honest about that I was like feeling a lot of anxiety and stress and pressure about recording this new record, and, feeling really run down and tired and bored and kind of unhappy with where I was. Because I'd just done like a 12-month tour and then immediately launched into writing this. I like just sort of put on the mask of like, I'm going to be chaotic Jordan, and I'm going to like day drink and write about like all of these crazy things, and I'll just be her. And I used to tell myself that like, me being her and writing about these experiences and my, anxiety and depression and, substance issues even like was good enough and was me dealing with my mental health, when really I think that I was just sort of I was being honest with what I was discussing, but I wasn't really like I was saying what I was feeling, but I wasn't actually like doing anything positive to change. And I think like what you said, and like, there is truth to like doing healthy, like that sometimes when you put on the mask of like, oh, I'm going to do healthy things even when I'm feeling like really chaotic and anxious, that can sometimes, not help. But it also like, to the other side, like I did find that like once I started getting up and in the morning and, working out twice a week and even doing something like as lame as othership, where I have to go in and listen to somebody like and sit next to someone who's sweating profusely, but like really just focus on my breath. And I'm like, oh, like this is really like cringy, and I can't believe I'm here right now listening to people talk about breathing. I really want to laugh and leave and just reject all of this hippie shit. But once I just sort of like threw out all of my insecurities about all of that stuff and just actually did focus on breathing, I was like, oh, hey, like I also do feel better.